Now we will read responsively from Psalm 15. Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain?
The one who walks blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor, and has no sword on others.
Who despises a vile person, but honors those who fear the Lord. Who keeps an oath even when it hurts, and does not change their mind.
Who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will never be shaken.
Good morning. I know that a lot of us know this little tune, so we're going to sing along this morning. I'll do it first so you can kind of remember it in your head. In the light, beautiful light, come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, shine all around us by day and by night. Jesus, the light of the world. Everybody try it. Ready? One, ready, go. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, shine all around us by day and by night. Jesus, the light of the world. Okay, so we kind of know it. That's good. So that was our practice. I'm going to do a verse, and then we'll all come in together. Only next time, I'm sure it'll be twice as loud. Okay? Twice as loud. So I'll do a verse, and then we'll all come in on the chorus. No need to worry. No need to fret. All of my needs, the man Jesus has met. His love protects me from hurt and all harm. Jesus, the light of the world. Here we go. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, shine all around us by day and by night. Jesus, the light of the world. One more time. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, shine all around us by day and by night. Jesus is the light of. One more time. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright, shine all around us by day and by night. Jesus is the light of the world. Nice. Amen.
Amen. All right. Let us now listen to these words from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 13 through 20. This is part of the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except except to be thrown out and trampled by people. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bushel. But instead, they put it on the stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before people, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. May God add God's blessing to that reading from His holy word. Amen. All right. Well, question, has anybody ever been told to eat less salt? Yeah. Yep. Yes. Yes. So, I thought about my father-in-law when he was in the hospital in the month before he died. This was in 2011. He would frequently complain that the hospital food was tasteless. And that was because they had him on a no-salt diet. They wouldn't let him have any salt. And he was just miserable, and he was there for a long time. And David and I thought it was a bit ridiculous because he had been eating salt all of his life. He had lived through bypass surgery about 10 years earlier. He had lived a long, full life and had always enjoyed putting salt on his food. So we would, true confessions, we would sneak little packages of salt into the hospital for him. He'd keep them in his pocket and take them out when nobody was looking. So I don't think they ever found out. And it made his last couple of months on this earth a bit more bearable. So why do we love salt so much? Well, because it brings out the natural flavor of the food, right? Too much salt and it doesn't taste very good, but just the right amount, that's the key. But it's not the salt that you taste, right? It's not like you taste the salt. But you can tell if there's no salt in your food. So what do you know about salt? It's time for a little chemistry lesson. High school chemistry class, see if you remember. So anybody good at chemistry? Was anybody good at chemistry? Pamela. All right. Paul? Yes, yes. Okay. So when I was a senior in high school, we had to memorize the periodic table. So remember the periodic table with all those abbreviations? Yeah, we had to memorize it. And I was not very good at chemistry. It did not stick in my head. But I do remember that sodium is Na, right? The abbreviation for sodium is Na. And I remember learning that sodium cannot exist by itself. Did you know that? Did you know that? So, sodium is found in nature only when it's combined with another element. Get that? Like salt, right? Sodium chloride is salt, NaCl. So those little sodium molecules, or no, whatever they are, yeah, I guess they're molecules. When they appear, they have to immediately bind with another molecule, like chloride, or else they'll just disappear. They'll just go poof, and they're gone, right? They have to combine with another element. That's our chemistry lesson for the day. Yeah. And it gives us a really neat illustration for life together in the church. The idea that none of us can be salt all by ourselves. What do you think about that? So those friends who say, oh, I go out and I worship God on the golf course. Well, maybe. But are they really being salt? Are they really being the salt of the earth? So salt today, of course, we just go to the grocery store and we buy salt. Or we use it for the roads, we use it in our food, whatever we do with it. But in Jesus' time, salt was really precious. It was very precious. It was expensive. So, and they used it a lot. They rubbed it on newborn babies. I learned that. That's kind of interesting. They used it to seal a deal or a promise. They sprinkled it on sacrifices. So to get salt, you had to hike down to the Dead Sea, and that's not a small feat. If you've ever been to Israel or seen the Dead Sea on TV, you had to hike down there, scoop up some water, and then wait for it to evaporate, right? So either way, it was often contaminated with other minerals in the salt, right? And so that's why it was prone to lose its taste. Verse 13, if salt, loses its taste, that's what would happen. So when we buy salt today, we're pretty sure, pretty confident that it's pure salt. But not back then, not back then. But it was kind of like gold is for us today. So I'll say it again, none of us can be salt by ourselves. Let's say that together. None of us can be salt by ourselves. Yeah, we need to be part of a community. Jesus knew that. So when he was talking to the disciples and those crowds about being the salt of the earth, he used the plural form of you. So we had our chemistry lesson, now we're going to have our English lesson. So Jesus didn't mean, John, you are the salt of the earth. Joe, you are the salt of the earth. Dwayne, you are the salt of the earth, because that would be the singular form of you, right? He meant you as in the plural. You all together are the salt of the earth. And that's the literal translation from the Greek. It is you, plural, who are the salt of the earth. You, we, all of us together are the salt of the earth. So if we take this to its logical conclusion, it's impossible to be salt without the experience of community. We need one another with our different talents and gifts, ways of doing things, little strange quirks that we all have. It's okay. We come together like those sodium molecules bumping around in the atmosphere, looking to combine with some other elements. We allow ourselves to be changed by other people, by the community, just like sodium is permanently changed when it combines with another element. So, can you think of an experience of community that you have had that really challenged you and changed you? So when I asked myself that question, I thought about the Carpenters Project. This was this project in Elwood City, Pennsylvania, which was my previous congregation, and it was kind of like Habitat, but it was amazing. There, like every single church in town, there were like 30 churches. There were 4 Presbyterians, there were Methodist, Episcopal, Baptist, the Catholics were involved, Lutherans, independent churches. We'd all come together. And there were about 200 people that would do this. Youth, all the way up, I think you had to be at least 13, all the way up to older adults. We come together from Monday through Friday, 1 week in July every year, and we would work on people's houses in the community, painting, carpentry, yard work, and then the churches would take turns hosting dinner afterwards. So it was just this amazing, and they're still doing it as far as I know. They are still doing it. This amazing feat of cooperation and community, and it really changed me. The work crews were very diverse, all ages, and we had to cooperate to get the job done. I liked being on the brush crew, where we were outside working with all kinds of things that I would never work with at home, like electric clippers and hedge clip trimmers, and you have to watch out for the poison ivy, though. I learned that one year, and after that, boy, was I careful. I learned that. And sometimes the people whose houses and yards we worked on were a little bit grumpy, but we understood that life was challenging for them. And other times, the homeowners, they would come out and they would bring us lemonade and cookies and chat with us, and it was really neat. So I learned a lot of things, I think 8 years with the Carpenters Project. But 2 of them stand out. Pooling the resources of several churches meant you could get a lot more done. And being out in the community was priceless. It was priceless. It didn't mean that those homeowners were going to show up in church on Sunday, but sometimes they did. And that wasn't the point, right? That wasn't the point. We were the church out in the community, yeah. So we have this, you all have seen this before. I don't know whether it's a flower or what it is, but it's kind of cool. So we've been going around the circle. We started with the top one, lifelong discipleship, and then evangelism was last week, the second one, and then the third one is that city building. You see the church in the middle with the city buildings. Yeah, so that is called outward incarnational focus of vital congregations. Matthew 25, church. So to have an outward incarnational focus. The church's doors are outwards, facing towards the city. The city has a lot of unknowns, strange people and unfamiliar situations, but the point is, and this is a quote, that we see our church not as a place to escape from the world, but rather our gateway to our community, where we may be the hands, feet, heart, and mouth of Jesus for people who are suffering or marginalized. That's all good, and Faith Church is doing a lot of that already in many, many different ways. So outward incarnational focus. Yeah. So one more thing about salt, and salt is part of this, right? Especially sea salt. So everybody gets excited about sea salt. Have you ever gotten excited about sea salt? Yeah. Think how many products you can buy that are made with sea salt, right? You can buy just plain sea salt in these little gourmet bottles. They charge you an arm and a leg for them, but it's sea salt, so you're going to pay it, right? And you can buy sea salt ice cream, sea salt caramel, sea salt chocolates, sea salt chips, sea salt hand cream, even sea salt candles. So why are people so crazy about sea salt? Because somebody decided that it's good for you, and it's also a little bit exotic. You know, you think, ooh, there's something special about sea salt, yeah? People go out of their way to swim in the Dead Sea in Israel because there's supposedly these health benefits that go along with it, right? Well, I don't know. As long as you don't put your head underwater, then you're in big trouble. Yeah. So supposedly the extra minerals found in the salty seawater do wonders for you. And the other health benefit people claim is that sea salt has less sodium. But guess what? That's not right. That's not right. The reason it has less sodium is the grains of sea salt are bigger. So when you have a teaspoon of sea salt, the bigger grains, right, there's fewer grains on your teaspoon. A teaspoon of regular salt is going to have more salt on it. It's going to fit more on your teaspoon. So for the most part, salt is salt. And that's good news for us. Good news. We don't have to try to compete with the church down the street. We don't have to have fancy programs or fancy sea salt caramel coffee or the latest and greatest tool to attract people to your church, whatever that may be today. All we need to do is to be ourselves. Everybody, just be yourself, right? You are already the salt of the earth, right? Whether it's sea salt or regular salt. That's the good news. We are already the salt of the earth. There's nothing we have to do or change or be. So I found this blessing that I thought was perfect for this. It's written by a guy named Rodney Hamilton. He says, in a world that is always asking us to become something, someone, some success story, in this place we say, don't become, be who you already are. Don't become light, be the light you already are. This is what God anciently placed in you. Don't become salt, be the salt you already are. It is in this way that you are known to God. For from these elements, salt and light, God uniquely crafted you. Don't become anything, Be who you are and discover the one who loves you in your being. So that today is our salty proposition. Amen.